Good morning. Welcome at our Sage Evolution webinar. We're so glad to see all of you still virtually, but we're happy to see you. My name is Rico Ferreira. I'm a co-owner of Preferred Solutions. I've been in this market for the last 21 years. And before that, I had a 14-year stint in the accounting arena. So why did we invite you to this seminar? Well, you know, we all understand that our businesses grow from a very small one in our garage to larger and larger and more complex businesses. So then one day, as we did, you realize that my business is now bigger, but my accounting software is struggling to keep up. And we've got growing needs that we can't cope with our current accounting system. So now what? What is the next step for somebody that says, for example, is on Pastel Partner? So the Preferred Solutions team that is present here today want to introduce you to Sage 200 Evolution, or Pastel Evolution as we used to call it. We want to tell you a Sage 200 story that is a 20-year success story. So let me introduce you to the team that will take you on this journey today, from functionality, problems with older software, to customer satisfaction and customer stories. The first one I want to introduce to you is Helen McLean. She's from our Eastern Cape branch, and she's been in the market for more than 30 years. And I think she supported hundreds of customers. Maybe I must say she supported thousands of customers. Expert. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you.
Then next we have Rudy Pfeiffer from our Gauteng branch. Rudy started with Pastel many, many years ago. And since then, he's been in this market, and they say he's a legend of Sage 200. Welcome, Rudy.
Thank you, Rico.
Then we've got Jenny Huckster, our professional services manager here in Cape Town. She's been with Preferred Solutions about 20 years. And I think Jenny's middle name is Professional Customer Support and Service. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you very much, Rico.
And then Sally Roo, my Preferred Solutions partner. I think she's the queen, and especially the queen of Sage 200 implementations. Over 30 years in our company, she and her team has done amazing implementations. And I think she's the best in South Africa. I actually think that Sally is the best in the world. Where are you, Sally? Welcome, Sally.
Thanks, Rico. Appreciate all the blowing up here.
And then we've got Shane McLean. He's a new generation, very clever man with years of experience in report writing. He also leads a development team that are what I would only can say they can do magic. Welcome, Shane.
Thanks, Rico. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we want to make it short and sweet. So as we continue, and you've got questions, you can put your questions in the chat section, and we will contact each of you and answer those questions. But so let's get it started, and we're going to start with Helen there in the Eastern Cape.
Good morning, team and clients. Thank you for everyone for joining us this morning. For those that have not met me, my name is Helen McLean, and I was the business owner of HH Accounting Services in Port Elizabeth. Earlier this year, we've joined forces with the Preferred Solutions Group, the Dream Team, as they like to call themselves. And thanks to Rico and Sally for being so welcoming. I have been working with Pastel Partners since 1990 and have implemented over 1,000 sites, sometimes having to get very creative with our methodology in order to achieve the required results. Partner is a great accounting package, but it is only with the Excel reporting module that we were able to achieve some really good operational reports to assist the clients with procedures and management tools. Shane will be showing you some of the examples of those reports later. Having now expanded my knowledge to Evolution, there are quite a few of our customers who are wanting more operationally from their systems and are now just starting to migrate over to Evolution. Currently, we are busy with 3 projects of customers moving over to Evolution from partners. So these will be examples of success stories for next year's webinar. Last year, one of our clients who was on partner and never that happy with it due to the limitations on inventory numbering and rigid functionality that had no room for expansion, decided on their own to move to cloud, obviously due to COVID. They had heard about the Sage Business Cloud, or Sage One as it was previously known. And so they sent their data to Sage to migrate. It was really a disaster. They lost so much data integrity and functionality that even partner had given them. Sage Business Cloud has its place in the market, but not for clients with complex stock requirements. After about 6 months of limping along on this version, they approached us for advice. So we tried to help them, but our hands were pretty much tied as we had no access to the data. This is one of the issues with true cloud-based products. They then took the leap and purchased Evolution with a hosted cloud server, thereby retaining their cloud processing capability. Later on in the webinar, Rico will expand some more on Evolution Anywhere and cloud hosting. There is no data conversion tool to transfer data from Sage One to Evolution. So in order to move this client, we exported their old partner data and their Sage One data and merged all the ledger transactions, customers, suppliers, and stock master files. They now have 5 years of financial data in one database and are able to produce all their required financial reports. Shane was then able to design a report combining their partner data, Sage One, and Evolution invoicing, sales, and inventory. So now they can directly in Excel get all this information required for sales queries and ordering requirements. For about a month, we had to hold their hands a bit with training and on-site assistance. But since then, they are coping on their own and they are getting operational information together with financial results in one system. It's been a real win. So this is just one story of a customer who moved from partner to Evolution and is achieving so much more than just an accounting result. Okay, so how do you know when it's time to move to a bigger, better system? Here are a few pointers. When you get to the stage of too many users, it's time to move. Complicated stock requirements like stock numbers, additional customer fields, batch or lot tracking, job costing, manufacturing, different costing methods per stock, pricing contracts with your customers. You need more automation and customization. You need more flexibility with user rights, and you want to limit users to specific functions. You maybe have retail point of sale requirements with promotions. Branch accounting is another option on Evolution. So yeah, Rudy will follow me after this and be able to expand more on those features for you. We had one client who moved from partner to Evolution nearly 2 years ago because they had reached their limit on their number of partner users. They were already on 40 users and they were growing. We implemented Evolution branch accounting for them, and they are now have 110 users running multiple companies in one database. The ease of accessing the information from the SQL database is now really paying off with Power BI reports and graphs on the smart devices, being able to make ordering decisions and sales decisions from anywhere. Yeah, it's not only for large clients that should move. It can just be because you need more flexibility or you have complex features. A point to emphasize also is that when you commit to move to a new software package, it's important to invest in staff training, support and assistance to reach your required goals. So clear planning and budget costs on the project need to be taken into account, and clear objectives need to be laid out before embarking on the change. Sally will take you through our procedures and implementation methods. And as you heard, she's the expert on this. So we're all still trying to learn from her. But like I say, who can't be tempted by never-ending needs to have sole access, no year ends with endless copy companies, having unlimited years in one database? It's absolutely amazing. After having worked with Partner for 30 years, it's been so good to expand into the Evolution program and achieve some great results. Enjoy the rest of the webinar with us today, and I'll be handing over to Rudy. Sorry, Legend Rudy, you're following.
Helen, thank you so much. I think for me, also being in the industry for a lot of numbers of years, the important thing is that I've found with a lot of our clients, one vision of the truth. Everybody is always reporting, capturing information in various Excel spreadsheets, duplicating that information across different spreadsheets for different purposes. And Shane will take you through what we can do with the reporting once we've got the data in the database. But an important thing is with the capabilities of Evolution and with the right setup of that database, we can literally get one version of the truth and everybody can interrogate that database with whatever reporting purposes and means they need. So just looking at some of the functionality that you get with a Sage 200 or a Sage Evolution product, like Helen just said, all those year ends, every time you do a year end, you need to make a copy of the company. And then how many of us have forgotten to add the new company to our backup policy and procedures? With the Evolution system, you have unlimited number of financial years in one database. So you just carry on working. There's no downtime. There's no sole access mode. We first need to do a year end. We can effectively, 10 years from now, run an income statement for the last 10 years. You can run balance sheets. You can run trend analysis across that database as well. This is all functionality included in the core package of your Evolution product. And I think for me, one of the nicest features that they've added is through the setup of the Freedom service, you get the ability to do an advanced search. Think about it when an auditor walks in and they start querying different transactions and you need to go and find that invoice for the desk that you bought or the boardroom table. Through advanced search, I used to call it Google for Evolution. You can literally find anything relating to those keywords that you're searching for across the database, whether it's in the master files, customer, supplier names, stock item descriptions, or whether it's on the descriptions of various transactions, journals, invoices, credit notes. It really is a powerful function. If we have a look next at some of the other functionalities in our Sage Evolution product, we'll look at some functionality on the GL fields that they've added. You can have branches and departments that you set up on a GL master file. Keeping in mind, and one wise man said to me one day, any accounting system is a set of fancy screens to capture information. What you do with the information is what makes a difference. Now with Evolution, we've got the ability to capture all of those additional types of information. And if you think about different departments, different branches in the GL structure, not wanting to overcomplicate your GL structure, but still have the ability to report on a detailed level, we can use that through the additional fields on a GL. we also have the ability to set up a GL on a segmented level. Now, basically what that means is everybody that's familiar with your Pastoral Partner system knows I've got a main account and I've got a sub account. And that's pretty much as far as I can set up a GL account structure and evolution. However, with the use of segmented GL, I can go and break up that account structure and say, I want a main account, I want to report on a branch, I want to report on a division within my company, and I still want to have the ability to set up various sub accounts for various reasons. Coming back to one version of the truth, it basically means that I can interrogate that data from any dimension. I can run a trial balance on a branch level. I can run a trial balance or an income statement on a divisional level. What is my admin costs compared to my logistics division, compared to, the sales guys, etc. And through that same functionality that we can apply on the segmented stock, it just gives us the ability to go and expand with the information and the different comparisons that we run on reports. If you think about a segmented stock example, the one that basically comes to mind is if I've got a stock item for a shirt, I can have a segment that gives me the size of that shirt. I can have a segment that gives me the color of the shirt. I can have a segment that, gives me the ability to choose whether it's a male or a female shirt. Now, applying that into that example, I can go and run reports and say, doesn't matter if it's a shirt or a pair of pants or a jacket, give me everything I've sold that is male and extra large, or give me everything I've sold that is female, but that has only got the color green and pink in it. Or give me all the shirts I've sold, no matter the size or the color. So you can immediately see just the dynamics that I've added to that database gives us access to so much more information. And ultimately, the information is about making informed decisions in your business. And then we've got user-defined fields. Now, if you think about it, if I want to run a report that gives me all my customers that have a birthday in the next week, I need to have a field to capture their birthday in. And that's what we've got with front-end ability in the evolution system, where I can literally go and define where that field should be in the database, whether it's on a customer master file, a supplier master file, a stock item, whether it's even on a line of an invoice or on the header of an invoice or a purchase order, wherever you need additional information in the fields. And we've used this very successfully at a lot of our clients, where you actually start running operational reports based on these additional fields, which has got nothing to do with financial information, but because it's part of that process, and because I'm storing it in one database, I get that one version of the truth. I don't need to keep outside spreadsheets or databases running to capture additional information. I can actually input everything into one single database. Next, I'm going to just quickly speak about some of the powerful modules that you've got available in the Sage Evolution system, but that's kind of where the limitation of partner comes in, and keeping in mind that partner has been great for us. I mean, everybody's in one way or the other touched partner in their lifetimes, but sometimes you outgrow the functionality. You no longer require a Corolla, now you need actually something bigger. And Service Manager is one of that functionalities that they've added into the module stable for Sage Evolution, where it gives you the ability to go and track certain assets. And if I say assets, we're talking about service assets. We've applied this very successfully in transport industry, where the guys keep track of services on their trucks, what repair costs there are. You think about something like a warranty claim. I bought a certain component, it came back, now we need to send it back, but you still need to keep track of the cost, but you can't re-invoice that specific customer. It keeps track of kilometers or hours in the business. Everything relating to that asset, you can keep track of. And additional to that, you set up that asset, whether it's my own truck, for argument's sake, or whether it is an outside customer's truck that I need to service. So in that case, I still want to keep track of the service history on that asset, but I also want to produce an invoice for the customer, even though I just want to keep the service history on my own asset without creating a dummy invoice and then having to go and fix the books afterwards. Job costing is another module that has just taken the whole job card system, where you can quote from a job card, you can buy onto a job card, you can invoice off of a job card, and you can track the profitability of each job individually through the use of job costing. You can see how far that job is. You can basically, even when it comes to invoicing, whether I want to do percentage completion invoicing to a specific customer on a specific job. So through the use of job costing, I've got the ability, even though I do the same job over and over for many clients, I can track the profitability for each job individually. Then retail point of sale is another feature that, or another module that Sage spend a lot of time on enhancing, and they've given a lot of features, and they've made that module. There's a lot of work that went into that module to basically make it very simple in the front end. You want to sell certain, products throughout your store. You want to cater for refunds. You want to do quotes, but you also want the ability to do a accurate cash up at the end of the day, making sure you keep track of the money that was given through the till, what credit card payments there were. You can even keep track of different cash drops if you do that throughout the day, managing the amount of cash in your specific tills. And it's all through a very simple layout, which, by the way, we can apply to touchscreens as well. You can set up different SKUs or shortcut keys on the system, but it's a very friendly and easy to use system, giving you all the control you need when it comes to cash in a business. And then multi-warehousing. That's another one that I wanted to just quickly highlight, for the reason that Sage Pastel Partner has also got the multi-warehousing module. But if we look at what the Sage Evolution multi-warehousing module can do, we can do so much more with that module. We can have different locations, different warehouses, but we can have the ability to go and track different costing per warehouse. If I've got a main warehouse where all my stock arrives and I want to send it down to my branch in Bloemfontein, there's obviously a certain cost involved in getting the stock moved from one warehouse to the next, which means when that specific product, which I bought for 10 Rand, lands in Bloemfontein, as an example, it might now be worth 12 Rand because I spent that extra 2 Rand on the traveling and the logistics, etc. So through the use of multi-warehousing, and again, we can have different groups set up to different warehouses, so that when you invoice out from a certain warehouse, it can actually hit a different sales account in your GL. It can hit a different stock control account. It can hit a different cost of sale account. So you can keep track of the level of detail that you want to see in reporting at the end of the day without complicating the front end of the system, because there's a lot of setup that went into that. Apart from the Sage modules, next, I want to just quickly have a brief info session on some of the third-party software integrations that work seamlessly with the Sage Evolution database. And again, it comes down to one version of the truth. I don't need updates running up and down through import and export functionality. The three modules I want to focus on is firstly the Neurosoft Fusion procurement. Now, for those of you that have had the requirement at some point in time for a procurement system, you want to be able to authorize that purchase order, but everybody involved in that workflow, or the process as we call it, needs to have a look at it. They need to have access into the information of what is my spend on that specific expense so far, what is the budget compared to. We can do that on a current month basis. You can do that on a year-to-date basis. So even if I didn't spend anything in the first 2 months of the year, the system will show me that while I'm over the budget for this month, I still have some money left that I can use year to date. And the manager authorizing that purchase order will also have access to that information. It is a cloud-based product through the use of web services, which basically means it's very easy. I can get an email on my smartphone. I can stand next to the 17th hole on the golf course, and I'll be able to go and either approve or decline a specific request for a purchase order. There's no more need for documentation that needs to be signed at a specific time. When I'm back in the office, the system can flow through there. You can have various levels of authorization amounts set up in the system for various workflows for a specific user. I can authorize up to 5,000 Rand when it comes to stationery, but I can authorize up to 15,000 Rand when it becomes, an IT related spend. So given that flexibility in the system, we have found it works very well. And we've got a number of clients running on there, some of them being listed companies with various divisions running a good over 100 users on a site. Expedite is what we call that advanced manufacturing module. That just takes the Evolution manufacturing to the next level. So it will read still from your Evolution database. It will pick up all your purchase orders, your sales orders through the use of the manufacturing processes. It will give you an exact cost for each and every works order that you produce on a specific item. I've got the ability to have a one-to-many relationship. If I change certain ingredients or certain processes, but I still manufacture the same end, final item, I can have different costs involved in those processes. And through the use of Expedite, we can actually keep track of those costs. You'll have access to what your break-even point is. If I bake one muffin, it's going to cost me 300 Rand for the muffin because I need to start up the oven. But if I bake 1,000 muffins, I'm going to pay 30 cents a muffin because I'm still using the same amount of fixed cost. But it will keep track of fixed and your variance cost. And then lastly, just a quick word on the Granite Warehouse Management System. Knowing where your stock is in terms of a warehouse is brilliant, but sometimes if we look at stock in a warehouse specifically, I think there's a lot of pallets with a lot of cash stacked on top of them. You need to know when that stock came in. You need to know where it was placed in the warehouse. You need to know when it's going out, and is it going out against the right, delivery note that you've placed the order with the customer for, where they need to pick the stock from. So your track and traceability in terms of your stock within your own environment gives you great flexibility in knowing exactly how much stock you've got and where that stock is. So just to basically sum it up, at the end of the day, you can look at all these functionalities that we can add into the system, and that's still sitting in a single database, which gives us that one version of the truth. Doesn't matter if it's management or users, or even, from an operational point of view, looking at reporting, getting out of the system, which Shane will obviously show you some more in detail. But guys, thank you so much for your time, and I'm gladly handing you over to Rico, the big boss, and he's going to take us to the clouds.
Thank you, Mr. Legend. So glad to hear your story. So if you look at the next slide, I sometimes still feel very confused about working in the cloud. Look at this slide, and I'm sure you agree. We hear about cloud and cloud computing and being on the cloud. So let us try and explain it in a bit of simple terms. Those of us working on Pastel Partner know that Pastel is installed on our PC and then on a server standing somewhere in the corner of our office. So Sage 200 Evolution is also what we call a desktop product, which means that it's usually installed on our PC and on a server, and we access that server in our office. So if you look at this picture, this is what we usually have and what we call a local network. But this means that we work at our desk and we work on our in-house server. So now, when COVID and lockdown came in March 2020, this setup of an internal or a local area network caused a bit of an interesting challenge. We could not go to the office anymore. So here in Preferred Solutions, we had to face the same problem. Everybody went home. So the question was, how do we work from home if Evolution is at our office? So this is what the next slide asks. And I'm sure you asked also. Now, the hero of the story is there in yellow. It was a product called Evolution Anywhere. We installed this little program on our home personal computers and laptops. And through this little product, we could actually access our Evolution server at our office. So from home, with our internet connection, all our staff worked on the Evolution, accessing our Evolution server at the office. For me personally, and everybody in our company, it felt like sitting at your desk at the office, but it was actually your desk at home. Until today, we are still using Evolution Anywhere. And most of the time, we don't even realize that we're actually working online, or if we can say in the cloud. So Evolution Anywhere assisted us to work from home via the internet onto our local Evolution server at our office. But speaking of the cloud, some customers said to us during this time, we don't want a server at our office. We don't want the machine that stands there in the corner and it's costing a lot of money. We want to take evolution to the cloud. So the answer was in the next slide. The answer was cloud hosting. So what does cloud hosting mean? Well, as we said, instead of having this physical server computer at your office, you can rent a server on the internet. And if you look at the next slide, we have partnered with companies that provide these servers in the cloud. One is the well-known irontree. You know irontree from a backup situation. But what irontree does these days is they provide a server in the cloud with all the necessary programs, IT functions that we need to run evolution. They also include the Windows software, the antivirus stuff, that cyber attack prevention stuff, all the backups, and even the IT guy that fixes everything. So there's a server in the cloud, you put your evolution there, and you don't have to worry about it. So evolution's installed on that virtual machine, and the bottom line is that you can access it from anywhere in the world, wherever there's an internet connection. That means you can even access it from your holiday hotel there in Mauritius. So that is a server in the cloud. So we take our local machine, scrap it, and we go and put our machine in the cloud with all the other stuff like email and everything that we can run. But we might say, no, we want a simpler solution. So as we said, and one of the benefits of evolution is that it's running on Microsoft SQL Server. So if you don't want this whole server in the cloud story, you can rent SQL in the cloud. This is where this other partner of ours helps us. It's a company called Cloud29. Now, what Cloud29 does is they host the SQL that Evolution requires in the cloud. So Evolution is installed on that SQL in the cloud. And again, you've got the same situation that you can access Evolution from anywhere in the world. So if we look at the next slide, it will show us what the result is of putting Evolution in the cloud, although it's traditionally called a desktop product. It means that your server with Evolution is there in a secure place on the internet, and you can access it from wherever you want to, from your home, from your holiday, from your car, if you want to. But what are some of the advantages of putting Evolution in the cloud? Let's look at the next slide. You know, we are presenting this webinar from our homes, from our offices in Gauteng, offices in Port Elizabeth, our offices here in Cape Town. And you guys are watching this seminar from different locations. And that's the one thing that lockdown taught us. So that means the same can happen with Evolution. It illustrates the fact that we can access our Evolution data, our information, our reports from anywhere in the blink of an eye. Just imagine being able to look at your information from anywhere where you are, and quickly. You don't have to ask some accountant to send you a report. If we host through irontree our Evolution in the cloud, we don't have to buy and maintain expensive hardware. We also don't have to worry about Windows updates or backups or virus protection or even security of our data in the cloud. That's all being dealt with by hosting a server in the cloud. And then from our viewpoint as Evolution, Evolution support becomes quicker, more cost-effective. Why? Because we don't have to travel to your office. We can merely log in and support you. So, just to make sure that we all understand and summarize, with Evolution Anywhere and or hosting, we can turn Evolution into a cloud system, and it will then properly work in the cloud. Just a PS, a silent one that I will whisper. So some people might insist on a true native cloud accounting and management system that works in the cloud. What does it mean? It means that there's a supplier of software that hosts the entire system in the cloud and then provides access via software licenses. So if that is the option, you can talk to us about Evolution's younger brother that are shown here in the next slide. So I hope you understand all about cloud and Evolution, but let's continue, and we ask Jenny, our professional services manager, to do the next session.
Thank you very much, Rico. Today, I am going to tell you a little bit about some clients of ours who have successfully moved from Pastel Partner to Sage 200 Evolution. I will be focusing only on two aspects. That doesn't mean that there are only these two aspects. They're just the ones that I happen to be focusing on. Firstly, using core Evolution functionality to give out of the ordinary information. And second, integrating operational systems into Evolution via middleware. So, talking to the first point, one of our clients who operates a transport industry wanted to see specific customer pricing and route information within their Evolution. They had been using Excel spreadsheets to manage this, and much manual work needed to be done to get this information into a usable format. Their accounts receivables was only up to date at the end of every month, so they were mostly in the dark as to what their debtors book looked like. We were able to assist them by implementing pricing and route information through the segmented inventory function, which, as Rudy mentioned earlier, is part of the core functionality in Evolution. They are now able to see route and pricing information real time in Evolution. They're also able to easily update their price lists and their customer pricing by using the price update batch function. Another client of ours who were on Pastel Partner is a fast food chain store. They had separate databases for each of their 60 or so stores and had to write massive reports in Partner to consolidate all this information. They were able to use the branch accounting module to set up one database in Evolution, and this single database has multiple entities and stores information in it, and they're able to track all transactions to a store level. This has cut down drastically on the amount of time it takes for them to pull their reports, as all the information resides in one database now. Moving on to point number 2. We have a private school client who were also on Pastel Partner. They have chosen to keep their core operational software, which they have used for years. This provides them with all their operational needs, like tracking absenteeism, report cards, disciplinary actions, etc. Some of the operational data is needed in the ERP system, like parent contact details, classes, and campuses. So by using middleware, the operational data integrates the relevant student and parent master file information into their Evolution. Sage 200 Evolution is used to manage the full customer side by doing the billing runs, processing cash book receipts, and so on. The users thus have what Rudy referred to, the one version of the truth in terms of the financial system, but are able to get what they need from the operational system without losing any of the functionality that they are used to having. Another fast food chain store, not the same one that I mentioned previously, wanted to have easy visibility of their store's transactions. Evolution was not going to be able to be used in the stores, so they decided to keep using their operational system. They have implemented middleware, which they use to import all the till transactions from the stores, so that they're able to see the details of said transactions in Evolution at a store level. No need to duplicate store transactions. The middleware takes care of the integration of this data to Evolution. So we can see how using both core functionality and middleware for integration of data helps businesses improve their processes. That's a wrap from me. I'm going to hand you over to Sally to continue with her words of wisdom. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny, much appreciated. So yes, I've been around forever and ever and a day. As you can see, I'm very grey, probably even more grey than that picture of mine shows down there. And I've gone grey simply because when we started out with evolution many, many years ago, almost 20 years ago with the evolution itself, we found that with implementations, we sort of learned as we went. And it became vitally important for us to figure out how to make sure that implementations were optimized and successful. And so over the years, we've actually built a methodology that we have tried and tested with all our implementations, and making sure that it becomes a success at the end of the day. So we were talking, why should you implement? And is it important to implement? It is vitally, vitally, vitally important to implement. What will happen, it will make your processes will become more streamlined, and efficiencies will make sure that there are improvements within your system and your business. It will lead to better service delivery, which will make your customers very, very happy and obviously love you way more, and potentially and hopefully lead to them buying more from you. And then you will also have information available, which you can use to analyze. And this will help you make decisions, which will make you more profitable. So next, please. This will make sure that at the end of the day, your business is more successful by implementing correctly. Now, if you don't implement correctly, no pun intended here, but I always say, if you buy the bicycle, then you may as well know how to ride it. You may just end up like Marilise, and believe me, you will have spent a lot more time, effort, money, blood, sweat, and tears to get to that point. So let's look at some of the reasons or some of the things that will happen if you don't implement. Your system will end up not being used, and it will be bypassed. The users will distrust the information coming out of the system because a lot of it won't be there or will be incorrect. It will lead to ineffective ways of working. And so then your employees may revert to doing things manually. And this will severely limit your potential to grow your business. Okay, so let's look at the way we implement. And in the next slide, you'll see that we've sort of done it down to 5 phases, and there are a lot of sort of sub phases, but let's try and keep this simple. They said to me when I started out, you have 10 minutes to talk, and believe me, I've used all 10 minutes, so I hope I'm not going to bore you. This is my passion, this is what I do, and we have to make sure that we do it correctly. Helen in her presentation said, planning is the most important part, and then obviously hand-holding, training, etc. So let's start off with the scoping, as we call it, the first phase that we start with. So in the next slide, you'll see that we start off by doing scoping workshops with you, the customer. And this helps us understand how your business works and what you need to manage and measure in that business so that we can ensure the important information is there when you get to a point where you've got to retrieve that information. We then also look at process workflows. How are transactions done? What are your procedures? And what are the necessary controls that need to be put into place? Of course, this then means that everyone is working according to the same plan. We look at report mapping. At the end of the day, you've got to ensure that what you want to report on actually went into the system. We also use this to control and measure certain information in the system. The forms design mapping, here we look at printed or emailed forms, and this is a big part of your brand. So it's important that this looks good, and one often forgets about this, and that's go live, everyone scurries around trying to get a decent invoice or purchase order layout to send to your business partners. So it's something that we focus on from the beginning. Then In the Sage 200 implementation, it's all about managing expectations. Here at Preferred Solutions, we know that what you require. We've got to understand that what you as the client want is what you're going to get. So to manage my client's expectations, I will ask for a list of features or processes which define the success of the project. And I refer to these as a list of critical factors. So for example, if you, the client, says, well, I expect the system to make this cup of coffee for me, it's my job then to let you know that, yes, this is possible, but that we have to build an application and that we actually have to install additional hardware for this to happen. And so now you as the client know that there will be extra costs and time and effort to get this working. Okay, once we understand and know what we need to do and how we're going to go about it, we obviously look at building the system. Important are the configurations, and this we've discussed in the detailed scoping, and so are able to ensure that the software is set up correctly. For instance, have we set up different warehouses? Do we need to cater for cost centers or departments? And that all comes out in our scoping session. Then with the master files, here we give you, the client, the opportunity to populate Excel spreadsheets with well cleaned up data about your customers, suppliers, stock, general ledger accounts, bills of materials, fixed assets, etc. Because this is the ideal time for that information to be cleaned up as it comes into evolution, so that you can make sure it's complete and that we don't have obsolete data, for instance, stock items that are no longer being purchased. We look at take-on balances. So once the database is built, we need to go to the take-on balances based in the legacy system and obviously bring those in using journals. And in our way of implementing, we've created and set up a whole lot of lists and reporting reports that we use to check to make sure that we don't get this wrong. Obviously, we're all human, so we do make mistakes, and that's why we do so much pilot testing. So in the next slide, you'll see how we break up our testing into various phases or sub-phases, if I shall call it that. We start off with stress testing. Rico alluded, or didn't even allude, told you outrightly that you can put evolution in the cloud. Of course, we're sitting in South Africa, so connectivity is not always great here. So we need to make sure that we can access that information, that it's not too slow, etc. Then we do integration testing. And here at Preferred, we believe that you cannot only have a fantastic operational system with controls for stock, etc. You must also have a functioning and correct general ledger. This is why it's incredibly important that we ensure that all the sub-ledger transactions post correctly to that general ledger. At the end of the day, if you don't have a functioning general ledger, you aren't able to make those informed decisions, no matter how good your operational system is. And again, you're going to be limiting your growth. Then we go on to user procedure testing. And so this is where you, the client, does the testing themselves, that based on our initial discussions in the scoping and how we built that database. What often happens is we'll make decisions in the theory or in the scoping, which when we go and test it in the system, we realize that actually it doesn't work. We've maybe got the steps wrong, or we've missed something. So the user procedure testing is important for the customer to do. It also means that the users can become more familiar with the system, comfortable with the system, etc. Once we've done that testing and we now know pretty much everything works, training is hugely important. I know Helen again said, no pun intended here, but you know, if you bought that bicycle, you must know how to ride it. And it's important to know how the system works and how you need to use it. So it's more than just teaching and talking about the functions and how the system works. Obviously, in this training, a lot of your processes and procedures come into work as well. So we talk about that as well. So we start off with the modular end user training, and we do this in a classroom environment where each person has a PC to work on. I find that if you put people behind a desk and they just look at the screen, then they don't get to experience and learn and see and understand how that system works. So it's important that each person has a PC to work on so that they can actually do the exercises that we do throughout the training session. We do report writing, and this is where we teach you to pull or write custom reports, which help you obviously make your decisions going forward to become more profitable, better at what you do. We do administrator training, and here we teach you to manage the system on a day-to-day basis, and includes things like setting up of users and permissions, opening and closing periods, and as well as running relinks to iron out any kinks in the system. We want you, the client, to be able to manage these kind of things yourself. You don't want to have to phone us every single time you have a new user or a new form or a new anything. You want to be able to do a lot of that yourself. With the take-on balances, a lot of our clients actually choose to do that themselves. So then we will teach you how to do take-on balances. If you choose not to, then our consultants will do that for you. Forms design, we've spoken about how important it is, and it's funnily enough one of those things that often get lost and people forget about. Vital that you can set up forms that reflect your brand, something to be proud of. So we train our clients to do their own forms design, because forms design quite often is not terribly difficult. It's just very time consuming. I know I'm a little bit OCD. If it's not perfect, then I'm not a happy chappy. So that's just to assist you with that. And then finally, I get back to having a general ledger. Get back to the general ledger. Again, I believe without a doubt, there is no use having an operational system that has no numbers and amounts behind it. So the general ledger at the end of the day is what brings it all together. That one version of the truth. We have our sub-ledgers where we get all the detail from, but we have general ledgers that obviously are used for financial accounting. And with our month-end training, we make sure that these sub-ledgers stay in balance with our general ledgers. For instance, your stock, your customer ledger, your supplier ledger, sales, purchasing, fixed assets, etc. Vital that these two run hand in hand. So then once we've done all our training and everybody's done their testing, and obviously everyone's now feeling comfortable, assuming that they've done their testing, which quite often is not the case, but nevertheless, we then go into go live support. And as part of every implementation, we actually do a little bit of pre-go live support with the client, because that's one way of forcing you, the client, to test. You know, this is our daytime job, as I always say. For the 8 hours of every day that we work, we're committed to clients. When it's booked in our calendar or our diary to be on site assisting with the client, that's what we do. You, the client, already have a daytime job. And now we're putting a whole lot more onto you with this implementation. And so it's human nature for people to say, you know what, I don't have to worry about this. We're only going live on the 1st of next month or the month after. And the problem is then you're not comfortable and you're uncertain of what needs doing. And so with the go live support, by the time you go live, you actually want your users to be comfortable and confident in the use of the system. Because if they're not, it's that first day when they know nothing, the boss or the customer or the supplier is going to be standing there yelling at them. And of course, stress levels go up and everybody gets unhappy and it just becomes a big fat mess. So we also include in all of our implementations service level agreements, SLA as we call it, where go live support is included. And this is usually done for 6 months after our implementation to ensure that you've budgeted for help after the go live. You know, we can do all the preparation we want and the planning and the testing and the training. But when people start using it, often you will find, well, you know what, I've made a mistake now, how do I fix it? And that quite often doesn't come up in your training. So important to have somebody there to give you a little bit of hand holding. Also those service level agreements, hours can be used for custom reports, etc. We do have a help desk here at Preferred Solutions that is fully manned. So they can be phoned or can be emailed, and they will assist with quick problems, etc. Sage also has a help desk. I'm sure those of you who are on partner know about it. And you can use them if you prefer, or if we're currently busy, or if you want another take on it. What happens if the help desk can't assist you, or it becomes necessary for it to be an on-site or a more advanced, or maybe a longer job that needs attending to, then we will assign a consultant to assist you. We come with a whole lot of consultants, and there are over 150 years of experience in our company. So you're in very, very good hands. So that's quite a mouthful that I've just gone through. I hope it makes sense. Believe me, implementing is crucial. You have to be able to use the system that you're wanting to put in. So that's me for now. I'm going to hand over to Shane, who does our custom reporting. Shane, all yours.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you to everyone that's here with us today. I just want to go through some exciting reports and show you some examples of what we can do. But what's really important to know is that we need to move away from copy-pasting monthly, regularly calculating and manually creating our own reports every month. We have to move away from that. We need to think one-click functions, one-click reporting. And the power of Sage 200 is behind SQL. Your database is sitting in SQL. It's a Microsoft product. It talks directly to all other Microsoft products, whether it be Web, Excel, Power BI, and so forth. And just remember, your reporting is not limited to graphs and figures. We can also think functional reporting, such as printing labels that you need to stick on all your items on the floor, or sending electronic documents and so much more. And I'm not going to bore you with more talking here, but I'm just going to jump straight into a demo. Let's move into that video. Hi, I'm going to be taking you through a few reporting examples that we have built out of Sage 200. But first, I'd like to go through the report manager that you would get with your Sage Intelligence reporting tool. This function, or this tool, is the same in Partner as it is in Sage 200. You're able to open this up, open any custom reports or any standard reports, and run them from here. The downside of this is that it requires a user license to be able to log into your accounting system and run this report. And secondly, once that report has been run, the information is old within a day or two in that report. So the benefit of Sage 200 is that your data sits in a SQL database, and we're actually able to link your database directly to Excel, giving you what we call live reports. Here is an example of a sales report, which is live. The live functionality, we'll put a button on your screen. You can click this button, it updates your information, and your information is live as of that very minute. In this report, you can see we're looking at a sales value in terms of rand, the quantity, and actually volume. This customer gave us a field per item that we were able to turn that quantity into a volume metric. We're able to create slices on this based on your customer details or any user-defined fields you may have added, thus giving you drill-down functionality on your reports. Here, I just want to dive down into something a little bit smaller so we can go and show you some even further detail. And again, with your sales reps being on these reports, we can actually build custom sales rep commission reports, and we've done this for many clients. So here we can see we've got a few different values per month, and the real benefit and power of this is that now I can click on that 5,000 Rand, and I can actually see the lines on the invoices and credit notes that make up that amount. This is live, actionable reporting, and does not get old. Again, if it's the next day, I open up my Excel document, click refresh, and I carry on like nothing has changed. The other report that I'm going to move to next is what we call functional reporting. Now this report really serves a single function, and that is to submit files to a specific supplier, the supplier being Pick n Pay, for electronic submission of documents. Now we're seeing this more and more where big organizations such as ShopRite Checkers, Mondelez, Pick n Pay, and so forth, require suppliers to submit invoices, credit notes, and statements all electronically. So we created this tool for a customer where their admin staff member would open this document, refresh the information, they would choose the month that they need to submit, they would choose the invoices that they would need to submit. So for example, I choose those 3. They click create the document, and that immediately opens up a file that can be submitted either electronically or emailed, and we were able to build that function into Excel as well. Now this is really moving away slightly from your dashboards or your graph figures that you would see in normal reporting and creating one-click functional reporting. Another example of a functional report is a label printing. We developed a label printer for a customer because they found printing individual labels per stock item was quite tedious. For some people this will work, for some businesses it won't. For example, this customer, we created a live report. They sell clothing, so they were needing to be able to print an entire GRV, what came in from their supplier, all at once. So they were able to label it quickly and put it on the floor to get it sold. So we created this report where the users could choose a GRV. It would display what came in on that GRV, all the details accurately. We were able to put encrypted cost codes. We were able to put the year and month that the item was bought, as well as the sizing and the price. And the user would simply click print all, and that would print, let me just get that number, 2,471 labels in less than a minute. This is all depending on the printer you have, but basically we were able to get that down for them. And also again, you know, there's practical things when it comes down to printing. You run out of paper or so forth. We were also able to give them the function where they could reprint a specific number. They type in that number, they click print select, and that gives them the option of printing those stock items. And I'll give you an example. We'll just print one of these, click print. We then choose the printer we want to print to. So I'll just print to a PDF for now. Click OK. And at this point, it would be throwing labels out of your printer. But for now, we're printing to a GRV. We're printing to a PDF. So we'll just save that as an example. And that's it. There we go. Just printed one label. That label would look like this. We were even able to get QR codes onto labels, and that has further information for the customer for their stock count. And this simply just runs through encoding. We design the label, it jumps through the lines and is able to print these functions all within a click of a button. Then the next report that I want to go through is a semi-functional report, but also a high-level reporting on stock reorder. We found a lot of customers who are managing or maintaining a large amount of stock across various stores were struggling within their accounting systems. Sage 200 provides excellent functionality for you to be able to do this, but for example, this customer really wanted to work out what was the suggested order. Now I'm going to go through this report. Basically, these first few columns is a pivot. The customer is able to choose a store, so they can choose a store that they want to look at. They can choose a specific supplier that they want to look at, and at that point it would only show that supplier's stock items that they buy. In this column then we would show them, well, what is the stock currently available in this store? It would show them what is on purchase order, and then we would show them the movement per month that it has transacted for these items, individual items. So if we go through here on this item here, this white 3-liter paint, you can see the movement per month has been on an average movement of 3 units a week. And we can see that we only have 10 in stock. The customer had chose that they want to be able to have 7 weeks worth of safety stock, and thus there ended up being a suggested reorder of 3 more, pushing their quantity up to 13 is what they required. Obviously with that PO that's coming in, that will push it up to 16. Okay, so we were also able to look at, well, what is the stock per store? So it actually shows you what are the stocks per store, where you could maybe transfer it from a different store. So we were able to even give them, for example, on this item here, we give them a detail that you're needing to order another 10 more items, but you do have one available in the PE group where it is overstock. So we were actually even able to use these figures to work out who is overstocked on a specific item. And we can actually transfer that item from the PE store rather than buying 10 and so forth. So you can scroll down and it gives a lot of varying numbers. But what we were able to do from this is also give one-click functionality to say create a reorder. On clicking create reorder, what that does is it creates an individual sheet here at the bottom. You can just give it a moment to run. Just for reference, this report at its full peak is running 1.2 million formulas, giving us all of these values per cell. So on the create reorder, basically what it's done is it's created a new sheet, PE store reorder, with the day and the month and the time. It's telling us we're ordering from this supplier. This is the suggested orders, and these are all the items that we need to up our level of stock. Then the customer or the purchase manager is able to put their quantity that they want to order. It would even calculate what that total cost of ordering those items would be. And from here, they would go and create a purchase order in Sage 200. Yeah, thank you for your time. I hope these examples have helped. We do have further report examples and would love to give you more demos. Thanks.
Thanks everyone for listening to that, and sorry for the technical glitch there. Just in terms of some of the reports we've developed, we've done a lot of financial reports for your CFOs and so forth. We want to have one-click functionality on management packs and income statements. We've done a lot of stock reports, sales reports. We get asked for sales rep commission reports quite often. And again, functional reporting. We've got to think outside the box. And we've helped a few clients with audit reporting, where we automatically link all the audit information that any auditor that would need, and we give your users insight where they can give their auditors all the information they need within a few seconds. And again, payroll also integrates to Sage 200, so we can get reporting from there as well. Next. And then one of the last things that we also do and assist clients with is custom development. This is not for everyone, and really our 80-20 rule works here. 80% of your products, or 80% of your business needs should be resolved by your accounting system. And that's where we come in at that 20%, where we help you with small developments or large developments, whether they're web-based or desktop-based, and we assist in automating that and linking it directly to Sage 200. So there's no double capturing. And we've done stock take, stock management, integrations, and again, auto emailing and SMSing. And next. And then I'm going to hand over to Rico. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, team. So just a final word. The aim of our webinar was to tell the following story. So during this 20-year journey with Sage Evolution, we found that a whole new world opened for some of our customers. You know, like they were used to having an accounting system that was probably introduced by the accountants that mainly did accounting with limited information and limited functionality. And it did well until they grew and they got to a point where just having an accounting system didn't count anymore. So when they realized they reached this stone wall, they took this brave move of upgrading to Sage Evolution. So what happened? Well, as you heard through the whole seminar, is that suddenly they had more information more reports, better internal controls. And what they realized is that they could start implementing evolution, not only in their accounting department, but also with the relevant modules and add-ons. They could implement evolution in other sections of their business, may it be warehousing or advanced manufacturing or purchasing or whatever. And those moves started to improve the bottom line. So very interesting. Evolution started in 2003, and over the years, we have implemented hundreds of customers. And nearly all those customers that we took their hand and implemented evolution are still on that evolution road. So the question that everybody will ask is, can I afford this? So what Sage last year did is that they launched the subscription module for Sage 200, where you can there's two ways that you can choose these subscriptions options. One is to pay a yearly amount, which is much cheaper than just buying outright, and then paying a monthly amount for your evolution software. So what that is that it made it much more affordable for instance, a Sage partner client to migrate to evolution. And maybe the implementation sounds like very complicated, but that's why you have Sally. And Sally will manage that implementation. Firstly, she'll adjust or adapt the implementation to your needs. And secondly, she will, with her team, hold your hand to make sure that that implementation goes well. So, in conclusion, we have heard these words, one version of the truth, a few times. So what it means for me is that from my experience, evolution becomes the center stage of your company and your business. And what it does, it gives you the opportunity to find out what the real truth is about what's happening in your business. So because of functionality, because of the SQL base, and all the help that you can get from Preferred Solutions, Sage Evolution can really make a difference in your life and in your company. So if you need any information about Sage 200 or Sage Evolution, you're welcome to leave a message on the chat, or you can contact us at sales@prefsol.co.za. And you can get more information. If you put anything on the chat now, we will come back to you in person. But you're welcome to either phone us. Our phone number is 021-840-2620, or you can contact us and email us on sales@prefsol.co.za. So thank you very much. I think we took an hour and a bit of your life, but I hope it was informative. And thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for the team that did so well. And stay safe, enjoy the rest of your day, and please contact us if you have any information. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.